what is her campaign even doing other than, stealing Donald Trump's talking points and offering to pay influencers absurd amounts of money for these little inorganic posts about her campaign? Well, here's one thing they're doing, manipulating digital headlines in Google ads to make it appear that she's getting all this glowing, beautiful coverage from all of these mainstream media outlets. Here's just a plethora of all of these. So she's running these ads that are sponsored, but it's not immediately clear that the text that accompanies the real news links is written by the campaigns and not by the media publication itself. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. So I was looking at an election day countdown online. Stephen, do you know how many days it is until the election?
I have no clue.
What? Just guess. Take a guess.
90.
Wow, that's really close. It's 83 days.
Yay. Perfect.
It's
been a day.
Okay. I would say it's been an election season.
That's fair.
So 83 days until the election. It's creeping up on us, guys. And as it's creeping up on us, I would say the seriousness of each candidate seems to be on full display. And there is just such a stark contrast in the seriousness of these two candidates. So I want to take just a second to look at the difference here when it comes to platforms, policies, being able to sit down and have a substantive conversation about those platforms and policies, which I feel like you should be able to do if you're running for president, which is part of the reason why Joe Biden dropped out, isn't it? Because he couldn't sit down and have a substantive conversation, not just about those issues and policies, but literally anything. So kind of important. And obviously, Donald Trump, he just did this 2-hour-long interview with Elon Musk on the Twitter space, which honestly, my greatest criticism of it at the time was a little boring at times because the man can get that far into the weeds on policy issues. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, okay? That's all right with me. That means that he knows what he's talking about. He can speak to the issues, unlike the dementia patient in chief we have, or of course, cackling Kamala. And his campaign just recently released 20 promises to, of course, make America great again. I want to go through some of those first, actually. So number one, it's literally listed 1 through 20. Number one is to, of course, seal the border, stop the migrant invasion. I would couple that with number 2. I would call these just one point, which is secure the border and mass deportations. He says carry out the largest deportation operation in American history, end inflation, make America the dominant energy producer in the world, stop outsourcing, turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower, tax cuts for workers, and no tax on tips. Remember, you heard it here from Trump first. Defend our Constitution, Bill of Rights, fundamental freedoms, prevent World War III by, of course, restoring, he's not just saying that and then stopping, restoring peace in Europe and in the Middle East, which the Abraham Accords, he gets the credit for that over there in the Middle East. Joe Biden's made a giant mess of things since Donald Trump has been gone. Donald Trump brought the greatest peace to the Middle East previously that we had. And build a great Iron Dome missile defense shield over our country, all made in America. End the weaponization of government against the American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Crush gang violence and lock up violent offenders. Rebuild our cities, making them safe, clean, and beautiful again, which I think would go hand in hand with the stopping the crime epidemic and locking up violent offenders. It turns out if you lock up criminals, your towns become a little bit more livable again. Strengthen our military, keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, protect Social Security, which I would argue I don't want to do, but I understand I probably am in the minority here in the party. Cancel the electric vehicle mandates and cut costly regulations. Cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, radical gender ideology, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children, keep men out of women's sports, deport pro-Hamas radicals, make our college campuses safe, secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter identification, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship, unite our country by bringing it to new and record levels of success. So, like him or not, okay, Did he miss anything? Like, is there an issue that this country is currently facing that is not addressed on that list? And I'm not saying that you're free to disagree with his proposal, with his way of tackling the issues. But the point is, that is a very substantive list. I can't think of anything that he missed that our country is facing right now. So clearly a lot of thought was put into this vision for the United States on behalf of Donald Trump. So what is Kamala's vision, you might ask? Outside of, the talking point that she already lifted from Donald Trump. No tax on tips. He said it first. So outside of the copycat Donald Trump mentality, what are your policies, Kamala? What are your plans? What are your platforms? Literally, do you have any original thought to give us? Well, nobody knows still, apparently, including even Kamala herself, because if you go to her little website, we have a little scroll of her website. If you go to her website and you look, here it is. You got, okay, all right, there's the home page. You've got the personal bios. Meet Vice President Kamala Harris. Oh, look, there's all these family pictures. Wow, that's so great. And then you also have a link to the donate, of course, a donation button, a link to sign up to help them campaign, a link to like shitty merch on their store. That's it. There's no platforms. There's no policies. There's no actual substance. There's no interviews on behalf of her, by the way, which apparently, according to the Wall Street Journal, was a strategic move if she's listening to her allies. The Wall Street Journal said that Harris's ascension to the top of the ticket has energized Democrats, and some allies have cautioned against doing anything that could slow that momentum, including lengthy interviews with media outlets. Like, can you imagine you're running for president and the people who are closest to you, who are cheering you on, is like, whatever you do, don't talk. Just shh. The less you say, the more chance you have of winning. So just don't say anything stupid. Like, that's bad when your allies are telling you that. So what is her campaign even doing other than, stealing Donald Trump's talking points and offering to pay influencers absurd amounts of money for these little inorganic posts about her campaign? Well, here's one thing they're doing: manipulating digital headlines in Google ads to make it appear that she's getting all this glowing, beautiful coverage from all of these mainstream media outlets. Here's just a plethora of all of these. So she's running these ads that are sponsored, but it's not immediately clear that the text that accompanies the real news links is written by the campaigns and not by the media publication itself. So a little deceptive, I would say. It looks like real search results. It looks like it was written by the outlets themselves. I would say that's deception. That's manipulation. Is that not election interference? Were we not told that type of thing is election interference? Deep fakes. That's election interference, I'm told. But hey, election interference to save democracy, I guess, right? Because it's their precious democracy that they don't have and also don't want, by the way. They're cheering on a candidate who got 0 votes on the primary ticket. That's not very democratic, guys. Election interference to save that precious democracy. But I don't know. I think just despite the deception, the inorganic campaign, maybe good news is still on the horizon, because there was a recent poll that was released by the Heritage Foundation that shows that Americans still agree with Donald Trump and his policies and his platform. And they're like ready to make America great again, because when asked what the biggest issue facing the country was, cost of living, 42%, immigration, 27%, jobs in the economy, 25%, political corruption, 15%, state of democracy, 16%, abortion, 13%. So what do you notice about that? All of the issues that Joe Biden has caused that Donald Trump can fix are all at the top of the list. The people who live here all want those things to be fixed. Cost of living. How's that working for you under Joe Biden? How was it with Donald Trump before COVID? Jobs in the economy. How's that for you under Joe Biden? How is it under Donald Trump? We were setting all sorts of records, the right records, actually. Immigration. How's that doing? How's that treating you, even over there in rural Alabama? And then you see the trickle of abortion, 13%. So I know that like they try to make it seem like everyone cares about abortion. But the fact of the matter is there are even some people in the middle who don't have time. They don't have energy. They can't afford to care about abortion when they can't even pay their bills. So when you look at all of what America actually cares about, what is the biggest issue facing America? I guess I'd try paying influencers up to $20,000 to keep my name in their mouths too. Like, I'd be like, this is the best shot I have. Some inorganic TikTok campaign, try to pay people off to try to make me sound cool, to make me sound likable, because clearly the statistics show it ain't working for me. And by the way, even CNN, we have a video, even CNN is like, hold up, Kamala probably shouldn't pop the champagne yet, because if we're looking at the polls and we project what happened last time, it doesn't look good for her. Watch.
I want to take a step back and sort of point out we've kind of been here before. So August 13th, how far were the polls off in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin? And this is in 2016 and 2020. Trump was estimated both times around and by significant margins. Take a look here. In 2016, the average poll in those states that I mentioned, those Great Lake battleground states, Trump was underestimated by 9 points on average at this point in 2016. How about 2020? It wasn't a one-off. Look at this. He was underestimated by 5 points on average. And of course, Kamala Harris's advantage in those New York Times Siena College polls were 4 points in each of these key battleground states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. The bottom line is this. If you have any idea, if you're a Kamala Harris fan and you want to rip open the champagne bottle, pop that cork, do not do it. Donald Trump is very much in this race. If we have a polling shift like we've seen in prior years from now until the final result, Donald Trump would actually win. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I am saying that he is very much in this ballgame based upon where he is right now and compare that to where he was in prior years.
Do you see how much it pained that man to say that Donald Trump is still in it? He's like, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Okay? Don't freak out. Yeah, I'm freaking out. I'm internally panicking. Don't panic. It hurts him. It physically hurt him to say that. So I just, you know what? Here's what we have to come in these 83 days. We have at least one debate. Right? Donald Trump's agreed to 3. Kamala says that she'll do at least 1 because she doesn't want to deal with Fox News because she's scared. But all she's going to have to do is keep talking within these 83 days. And as even her allies pointed out, nobody wants that. That's certainly not how she came to rise to power. It was not by talking. It was by doing something, not talking. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. So Americans are, I just read you those statistics from that poll. Americans are tired. They're frustrated with the economy. They're frustrated with inflation, with everything that's going on around them. And you might be looking for companies who believe in what you believe in, who believe in America, who believe in the Constitution, who believe in our founding fathers' framework. That is why I'm so proud to partner with Patriot Mobile. They are on the front lines fighting for the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, our military and first responder heroes, and of course, fighting back against the radical gender ideology agenda that they are pushing in schools. So with Patriot Mobile, if you've not checked them out, I'm telling you, go to their website right now, patriotmobile.com/Sara. Okay, you can find the same coverage, okay? Nationwide coverage, the same 3, they all share the same cell towers, okay? You can keep your number if you want, or you can get a new one if you want. It's up to you. Build it however you want it. You're probably going to save money, and you can know that you are supporting a company that supports you rather than supporting a company that hates you, like all of those woke corporations. Go to patriotmobile.com/Sara. Right now, you will get a free month when you use the offer code Sara. There's no reason not to go check them out. Join me and switch to America's only Christian conservative wireless provider, Patriot Mobile, over at patriotmobile.com/Sara. Welcome to the show, Matthew Marsden. Once again, BlazeTV contributor and actor and producer extraordinaire. I feel like I'm hogging you these days.
Yeah.
I love it.
Me too.
Great. I'm glad you're back.
Yeah, well, glad to be back.
Okay, so what I'm going to try to do is make your blood boil. I hate to inform you.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready?
All right.
Okay. Stephen, would you please just say out loud what you said in my ear?
I said you're good at that, but I meant good at doing it for Matthew with his stories on your show.
You guys see what I deal with? I can't concentrate with people insulting me while I'm doing my show.
That was a compliment.
I feel you, Stephen. Voice from the,
Thanks, Matt.
I don't know. It's like God. It is. It's like having God.
The voice of God. We need to get you on video too, Stephen. It is weird. Like, where do I look? I'm looking in the camera, but you're not in there. So this 72-year-old grandmother, and she's a Colorado bed and breakfast owner, was just sentenced for her role in the January 6th Capitol riot. And when I say role, yes, they call her the J6 praying grandma. And there she is. 6-month home confinement sentence and $103,000 fine. Oh, and by the way, 6-month ban on accessing the internet. Why? Peculiar, isn't it? She's not allowed to access the internet. Well, the judge, I guess she should consider herself lucky because the prosecution wanted 10 months in prison for a 72-year-old grandmother. But the judge decided to go easy on her, but not too easy. She needed to pay because she profited, the judge said, by crowdfunding and appearing in the media. And she raised over $230,000 that she has used for, of course, legal expenses. And the judge didn't like that. She said that she was profiting off of the event. And so she needed some sort of punishment. And so that's what he gave her. And I want to show you, again, just how disorderly. Wow. I think she walked, Matt. I think she may have had the audacity to use the 2 feet that God gave her and walk in with everyone else, which we all, by the way, have seen the surveillance footage of security of Capitol Police opening the doors and guiding these people through the Capitol. But 3 felonies, including disorderly conduct for walking. I mean, when we say grandmas waving their American flags, we're not kidding. We're not kidding. Grandmas waving their American flags are getting more punishment than people burning down cities. And certainly anti-Semites on college campuses who are breaking the law. Did I do it?
Okay. Look, this 2-tier policing is what caused people to riot in the UK. They had enough. It's not, look, whatever you think about what happened on January the 6th, which really was nothing, right? I mean, it just wasn't. And we don't even know because they won't even let us have access to everything. And our own Steve Baker has gone through it, and look at what he's gone through. This is just so not American. It is unbelievable. And this doesn't end well. There's no way this can end well because you're clearly, as you're saying, seeing a 2-tier justice system where people that literally burn down places, in mostly peaceful protests, right? Burn down places, looted places, were either not pursued at all or pursued, caught, and let free.
Right. Charges
nothing,
dismissed.
charges dismissed for looting. And then you've got this little old grandmother that goes to January the 6th and walks it. Look, we all know what this is, right? This is the same thing what the British government is doing right now to the British people. It is saying, if you step out of line with what we deem to be acceptable, we are going to destroy your life. Trump said, I am between you and them. How many times do we have to say it?
They're coming after you.
They are coming.
Just standing in the way.
And let me tell you, after what they said in the UK, do not be surprised if the cackler in chief gets in, that they will extradite people from the United States back to England for prosecution for hate speech online. watch.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the chance to actually like look this up, but I'm like, a 6-month ban on being on the internet? How is that even legal? How does any judge have I mean, it might be one, I don't even know. But like, I was thinking like maybe if there was like someone with a bunch of child porn images on their computer or so, it was some sort of crime that related to the internet, but this wasn't that. So it just seems to be that it's just the punishment is the point, and it doesn't have to be legal, and it doesn't have to be fair, and it doesn't have to be just, and it doesn't have to be unbiased or objective. It just the punishment is the point, and that's all. And these judges are like, stop me. Who's going to stop me?
It's insane. I mean, if you look at really what that is it's preventing access to information.
Right.
And in particular,
it's preventing you from sharing your story and your voice with the world.
That's right. It's a two-way street, right? Because the great thing about X is you can get out there and you can tell people. I mean, sometimes you're like, I really wish that people didn't tell us about their lives, right? But you can get that out. You can talk about your experience. And clearly what they're saying is, hey, listen, you went out and did that. You raised money. And by the way, she's going to raise a whole lot more money because Americans don't like this, right? You're going to see that $100,000 fine be paid off in droves because Americans are fundamentally good people and they see injustice and they know it when they see it, right? So that's going to blow out anyway. But it's think about this. If you were restricted from X, let's just say X, where would you get your information from that's remotely unbiased?
I don't have the blaze.com.
Apart from here,
yeah,
where would you go?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it doesn't exist. And that's why I say that for all of its faults, and it has a ton, social media is a cesspool. Like it does bad things to kids, like all that. We could go down the laundry list of reasons why it has made society worse. However, a way that it has made society better is that the mainstream media cannot continue to peddle the lies that they peddle, to deceptively edit videos, to not put people in full context, to not do that. And we at least have a platform where we can see the full truth and the full extent of things. But and when you think about that, how much do you think, holy crap, what did we get wrong all of these years where we didn't have access to that information? How many things were we told that was just a total lie? Well,
yeah, I mean, people, you've seen it recently, the way that people are approaching Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk is the devil, you know, like he's even the EU sent a letter the other day saying, hey, listen, you got to calm it down. What they're doing is, whatever's happening in England is actually going to be implemented so they can go after Elon Musk. I mean, that's the thing, because if they can go after someone for posting what they consider to be incitement to violence, they're going to go after the platform. We've seen this over and over where there's been a gun crime and people have not sued the person who did the gun crime because a lot of times they don't have any money. They go for the gun manufacturer, right? And we've seen it over and over. So that is the end game, I think. What they want to do is they want to shut down Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And you've seen, like, with the boxer now who's got a lawsuit against J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk. Good luck with that, right? Because,
I didn't see this.
Oh, yeah, no. Apparently, this is what I heard. Please don't quote me on it because I might be wrong. Maybe the people...
Quoting you on it. I'm quoting you on it.
Okay, maybe the people in the sky can tell me. But apparently, I did see on X, it's not corroborated yet, but that she's going to sue Elon and J.K. Rowling. He's going to...
Yeah, the one that was just in the Olympics?
Yeah, the one, the Algerian.
Is he or she willing to submit to like let's just drop the drawers and see what's down there? Can we just not speculate anymore? Can we just get confirmation?
Well, look, we know it's the individual as XY, right? So it is what it is. It's all the way through the bones. It's like we don't need to.
We've seen enough.
But do you see where they're going with this? It's a coordinated effort. But this right now, what they're doing is it's all about shutting up conservatives. It's all about stopping us, making us afraid to go out there and talk about what we think is important, like, not going under a Marxist communist rule in the country, things like that. That is why I'm going to put out a call right now to the people of the Blaze. We need to bring back pubs. Can we please bring back pubs?
Did we have pubs in America?
Yeah, you had like your taverns and stuff like that. That is where everything went on With the founding fathers, people would meet, they would talk, they would, because we are like kind of disjointed right now. And actually,
it's because we love alcohol. That's why we have.
It's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, no, we could. I'm down with that.
Bring back the pub.
I mean, I'm drinking anyway, so I might as well be drinking at a pub.
Yeah, and then you'd be drinking around other people, not by yourself.
That's a joke. The other day we joked about something like that and someone was like, wait, did Sarah just say she drinks tequila before the show every day? I was like, no, I didn't say.
Totally did.
I did.
Totally did.
I have before, but it's not a daily thing. So, yeah, I mean, I don't. Do you see a way out of this if Donald Trump does not get elected?
No. Well, I do. There's always a way.
In what way is that?
Can't say, can I?
Does it involve a...
Not saying. I just said I can't say.
Oh.
No, but look, the truth is without... I had literally had a friend of mine text me this morning from England, and he said, if Donald Trump doesn't win, the world is bleeped.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? If you look on my X feed, it's like, you're right. And these are Brits. So these are Brits. And so there was someone from France and someone from Switzerland and Austria. And they were like, yes, you're right. So the world is watching us. Mm-hmm. The world is looking to Trump, however, his failings or whatever. But he is all we've got. Like the world is like, please, because then... Whether, and I know Americans are going to say it doesn't really matter, but it does really, because America is the shining city on a hill, for the world. Yeah. He can exert pressure on the British government. He can exert pressure on the European Union. He can start doing it. And I was not joking. I did a post the other day and I said that pretty soon Texas will be accepting Brits as political refugees or as asylum seekers. It will happen, I'm telling you. You watch.
Yeah.
The good ones.
It better be the good ones.
Like me.
We don't want the bad ones. Well, we're going to tell you.
Get in the bad ones.
Well, I'm just saying, okay, I know we have to go to break, but I will say, I think that we need you, Matt, if that happens, you need to be like the person who vets all these Brits.
I'll vet them.
Yeah, that
I
needs to be
deport
you.
some as well, though?
Yeah. I've just deemed myself like in charge, so yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
President Gonzales, I like it.
Welcome. I am born and raised in Texas, never lived anywhere else, never planned to. Why can't I be in charge of the new Texas? All right, we've got more to come, and then we're going to welcome a friend of both Matthew's and myself when we return. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So Relief Factor, Matt's tried.
I have.
It's worked for him.
It has.
I've tried it. I take it. It works for me. And Relief Factor is there for those of you who maybe you have reached the age where things hurt in the morning when you wake up.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not looking at you. I'm just looking in the general direction.
Oh,
it's an all natural anti-inflammatory, and it
Relief Factor.
Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah, no, I'm just a pain in the ass. It doesn't help.
Get rid of that.
No, it doesn't. Ask Steven. Does Relief Factor help for pain in the ass, me?
I haven't tried it for that one, but probably. So, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know how to answer
diplomatic
this.
answer. He was like, "Do I want to sleep on the couch tonight
Yes,
or
it's
not?"
a trap. It's never a trap.
Did my answer work?
Yeah, it's good. So those of you who are living in constant pain, try their 3-week quick start, okay? It's $19.95 and they've got a guarantee, so you have nothing to lose except your pain. Go get it at relieffactor.com. I'm telling you guys, it's great, and it's a great alternative to pain meds. It doesn't make you feel loopy. So go try it out at relieffactor.com. All right, joining us now, we have Dr. Andy Wakefield. Of course, he is an award-winning filmmaker. His latest, this guy happens to star in. It is Protocol 7. And I want to talk about that movie here in just a bit. But Andy, thanks for being here.
You both star in.
Oh,
Yeah, see? Oh, look at that. You're like, I'm in the movie.
I am in it. And man, I have 2 lines, but damn, those are well-delivered lines. Thanks for putting me in your movie.
Who is that woman? Give her another movie.
Wow, she's so good. So I want to first talk about the news that the American Society of Plastic Surgeons has now officially broken with the, the medical establishment, the medical industrial complex, I guess you would say, on childhood gender transitions. So they are now becoming the first major association of medical professionals to break rank on this radical gender ideology for kids. So the ASPS acknowledged considerable uncertainty as to the long-term efficacy for the use of chest and genital surgical interventions. They also said the existing evidence base is viewed as low quality / low certainty. What are your thoughts?
It's kind of typical of medicine's load, fire, aim approach to these things, without asking the question, why are we suddenly seeing this epidemic of children who have gender dysphoria? Mm-hmm. It's leap in there. Let's make a business out of it. Let's operate on these kids, irrespective of the consequences down the line when they realize that the problem is not that they need to be reassigned surgically, but that they have some underlying psychological problem that needs a completely different approach. Because I think one of the things that emerges is that the suicide rates, the depression rates, the psychotropic drug use rates in those who have gone on to have gender reassignment surgery are very, very high. It's not making a difference to the fundamental underlying cause. So, thank heavens that the American Society of Plastic Surgeons have made a rational and sensible decision in this.
Yeah, and I don't want it to be lost on people that it's like, this isn't, you think of a plastic surgeon as like a facelift. Well, plastic surgery is also what people are getting when they're chopping off their body parts downstairs and they're chopping off their breasts. So like the plastic surgeons saying this, kind of a big deal.
Yeah, I do feel like it's kind of like, hey, listen, after I've made $100 million off doing it, then I'm going to turn around and say how bad it is.
Well, that's fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like it does. I think working with Andy.
You're so cynical.
I'm British, right, Andy?
That's a British thing?
Yeah, he can't help himself.
It just comes out. It's just like, no, I think that one of the things that I learned working with Andy on the film and, doing research in the role, and obviously you're a big advocate for, not having vaccines. It does make you realize, I think, like you naively go through life, well, I did anyway, thinking, they've got my best interests at heart, the medical industry, they just want to heal, you certainly in the UK, you grow up, you got your local GP, they care about you, as a member of, a vaunted member of society, it's one of those things where you go and get a doctor to sign it, or a judge, or a policeman, right? So you look at doctors like that, and it's kind of incomprehensible that they would want to just make money out of you and make money out of whether it's poisoning your body or whether it's, chopping off your boobs or your private parts. It's very, very difficult to process, I think, when you have someone like that you look up to in your society to basically look after you. And you're going to, you give your baby over to the doctor, you give the most precious thing that you have over to a doctor, and you're thinking, surely they're going to look after them. And they don't. Some do. Some stand up and do what's best for children and for the world, but others are just willing to take the money. And I think that's a really difficult thing for people to get into their heads. So it's actually doing the movie made me very, very skeptical of the medical industry.
And I want to get more into the vaccine issue here in a moment. But I do think, obviously, I would say vaccines were the first issue. Well, maybe you could point to one that was prior to that. But I think that was the first issue that it really became more about both the money and just the industrial complex rather than the health and the safety of the children. But so I feel like that came first. But then after that, I feel like they got so arrogant and they didn't think that people would figure them out during COVID. And people started realizing for themselves. At the same time that was happening, we do have all of this radical gender ideology, and they really missed the mark there because it's like, okay, the vaccination stuff, people are like, well, the mom has it wrong. Well, she doesn't know. Well, you need to listen to the doctors. This is such a more in your face, like you're literally chopping off people's body parts.
Let's go. I mean, and tell me to shut up if I'm running over time.
No, please.
Let's just see if these two issues are interwoven in some way. Because what we know is that gender dysphoria is highly significantly more common in children with developmental disorders like autism. Mm-hmm. Now, let's just take epilepsy as an example. Epilepsy is comorbid, occurs at the same time in many, many people with autism. No one would argue that epilepsy is a psychological problem. No one would argue that it's anything but a medical problem due to some focus of brain damage that is producing this syndrome, okay? So the two, autism and epilepsy, go together in many, many individuals. So likewise, you can't argue that gender dysphoria in people with autism is not causally linked to whatever causes autism. Mm-hmm. Okay, does that make sense? Mm-hmm. That here there is an underlying medical problem here. What is the common denominator, perhaps? Well, I have no doubt whatsoever now.
I want to remind you guys about, this is such a great sponsor for this particular segment. So the coverup, if you guys have not yet checked it out, we were just talking about the pandemic. Obviously it's behind us, but the social and economic ramifications still affect us today. So here at the Blaze, we refuse to allow them to distract us and make us forget what they did to this entire country. So in episode 2 of the coverup, Matt Kibbe and Senator Rand Paul uncover the truth behind the origins of COVID-19, the lies and crimes of Dr. Anthony Fauci, who I would say is the greatest con man in American history, and they work to expose who is protecting him. So make sure you check that out over at BlazeTV. It is only available on BlazeTV. Okay, so make sure you go to FauciCoverup.com/Sara. You can get $30 off your subscription with code FauciLied over at FauciCoverup.com/Sara. So it seems to me, it never fails, that school gets back in session and like clockwork, it coincides with all of this vaccination fear-mongering. And so this year, anyway, over in Oregon, officials are warning parents to get their children vaccinated amidst a measles outbreak where they say 25 people have contracted the measles. Now, I will tell you guys, in all the coverage I've read of this, because I went to multiple different places to read more about it, I'm like, okay, well, who was hospitalized, who died, like why are we so upset about this? And curiously, there's no mention of how the individuals are faring, just a scary headline with one single solution: vaccinate your children. Interesting to me.
Yes. I mean, there are several, on several levels. And one is that what they don't tell you, there was an outbreak in Disneyland.
Yeah.
Okay, some years ago. What they don't tell you and didn't tell us for 4 years, even though they had the data, is that 40% of the cases were caused by the vaccine. When they sequenced the virus that they isolated from these people, it was vaccine strain. Mm-hmm. Okay, but if they'd told us, if they'd told the public that almost half the cases were actually caused by the vaccine, we'd have said, thanks very much. We'll take our chances on that. But they didn't tell us that, even though they knew, okay? But they used that as leverage to frighten people into going and getting vaccinated. Mm-hmm. How dishonest is that? But more importantly than that is what's happened to measles over time. And if you look at measles in the 1920s, it was a major killer of children. 120 per million children were dying during epidemics. But then there was a dramatic fall in the case fatality rate, so that when the vaccine was introduced, there had already been a 99.6% reduction in case fatality. Measles was becoming a milder and milder and milder disease. What would have happened if man hadn't interfered? If we just said, okay, let's let this play out. This happened in a few decades. It was an extraordinary effect, and we've seen this for many, many infectious disease mortality curves. What would have happened if we left it alone? Well, that curve would have decayed to zero. Mm-hmm. That's what would have happened, but we didn't. We interfered, and we then ascribed that benefit to vaccines. Had nothing to do with it whatsoever.
Right.
And the problem is this, that the vaccine doesn't work. When we had measles, I had measles as a child, I now have immunity for life. Okay, and I was protected during the first year of life by my mother's breast milk and by transplacental transfer of immunoglobulin that helped me. So that was natural herd immunity. We then replaced it with vaccines, and the problem is that vaccine immunity does not last. And so you become susceptible to measles again later in life when it's a more dangerous disease. So we, by introducing the vaccine universally, have made measles a more dangerous disease. And the only answer, as you say, is vaccinate, vaccinate, vaccinate. It doesn't work. The boosting doesn't last. It doesn't protect you, but for a short time, perhaps, and then you're susceptible again. So what we've created is a job creation scheme. It's just pure profiteering. And it's man's interference with an ecosystem which was resolving itself naturally very, very quickly.
Yeah. Which I'm a nerd. I read about this stuff, but you say it much more insightfully than I ever could. So on that note, then, I do want to talk about the movie, because the movie does have to deal with the vaccine industry, and particularly the MMR vaccine, which obviously measles is one of the M's in that particular vaccine. And so, Matt, why don't you tell us, just give a brief overview, because last time you guys were on and we talked about the movie, I couldn't say too much because it hadn't come out yet and I didn't want to give anything away. So I don't want to say more than you guys want me to say, but I mean, the amount of fraud and deception that was uncovered in a real court case, by the way. This is not like a fictional story to the extent that like all of the data is there. It's an actual court case that's going on. You guys just put like names and faces to it to tell the story in a more entertaining way. So what did you learn when you did the movie, Matt?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, I will throw it over to Andy to talk a little bit about the movie in a minute. But I think for me, and look, the moment you say vaccine, then we're already off YouTube anyway, right? So I may as well talk. So I think that the miracle that happened with COVID, the good thing that came out of COVID, is everyone could really see the illogical progression that the vaccine, that the people will come out, they were saying to you, hey, listen, look, it's going to protect you 100%. Or well, actually, it's not going to protect you. Now you have to have it so I can be protected. And people, normal, regular folks sat there and they were like, this is clear bullshit. Like, I can see through this. You are lying. You can't keep moving the goalposts. And then when they tried to cover it up, it was so obvious because it was everywhere that it really woke a lot of people up to the potential that people weren't actually being honest with us. Right. So that's what happened to me. And the reaction that I got from people, just because I said, hey, listen, I have immunity. I have COVID. I've had COVID. I have immunity. I don't need to go and get the vaccine now. And the vitriol I got attacking me. And, you know, like any other stubborn Brit, I was like, really? I'm going to double down on that then. I'm definitely not taking the vaccine now. And then all of a sudden, this world opened up to me with these people who never took vaccines. Or they had children. I called Andy about this the other day. I found out that one of my friends, her son took a vaccine, and literally the next day they had convulsions. Anyway, and I'd known them for years and years and years, but they'd never offered it up that they had the vaccine, and then afterwards this was reaction.
Taboo.
It totally is, because a lot of people who've had that get shamed into silence. And I think that what happened with COVID, it kind of opened a lot of people's eyes. It kind of gave you permission to question. So now with that, you kind of take your vision and go back and start looking at all the other things. If you're sensible, right. It's kind of like, what was a conspiracy theory? Now you go, well, hang on a minute. Maybe it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. Maybe it really is a conspiracy. Maybe it's real. Right. And so that's what happened with me with Protocol 7. You know, I got the script. I read it. I knew about Andy. And I was like, this is unbelievable. This happened years ago. Mm-hmm. And if people would listen to the man that's sitting opposite us, we would never have had the problems that we had in COVID. Mm-hmm. Like if they hadn't have shut him up, vilified him, made him into a pariah, destroyed his career, then how many lives would have been saved from then? And so that was a real moment for me.
Yeah.
And then meeting Andy, and you know, it's funny because you meet someone, like I never looked at your Wikipedia page, right? Because I know it's going to be full of crap, right? And you get to know someone, and you're like, and I'll say it with him sitting there, I'm like, he's a very, very good man with integrity and morals. And when you make the connection, when it's not this big bogeyman or this kind of caricature that's put out there, you kind of, again, you start digging even deeper. You're like, what is this really all about? And over to you, Andy.
Well, let's do this. Let's take a quick break, and then I want to give Andy the floor to talk about this. So we'll be right back. So, Andy, what did you uncover in this movie?
Well, first of all, just you asked about the screening and people being able to see it.
Yeah.
Go to yow.tv, yow.tv. It's streaming now.
Wonderful.
You can watch my other movies for free on Yow TV, but go there. The movie's streaming. It'll soon be available for download. It'll be available in multiple subtitled languages, and it'll be for purchase on DVD. People still love DVDs. It's amazing. They like to have something physical. That the government can't take away from them. So, and I should say it's won 28 film awards, including some by His Lordship over there. So 28, it's getting dangerously close to being mainstream, which is a place I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
But, so that's very exciting. The film, I'm going to bring you up to date. So the film is about fraud in relation to the mumps vaccine by Merck. The vaccine was failing. The end of the 90s, they realized that. It was out of compliance. They should have withdrawn it, not sold it to the CDC. And they didn't. They continued, and they could have produced a better, safer vaccine. They didn't care. It was about protecting their monopoly in the United States of America and their bottom line. And they got found out, and one of their scientists in the laboratory was asked to commit fraud, refused, came to me, and so the story was written. But when they got to court many, many years later, and this has just happened, they lost. Why? They lost in the lower court because the judge said this is not material. Even though Merck may have committed fraud,